The morning of December 25th, 1995. Beverly Hills, California. A quiet two-story home set back from the road on Mountain Drive behind tall hedges. A housekeeper opens the door to a bedroom and calls a man's name softly. He doesn't answer. She moves closer. The room is dim. And there, near the window, the man who once filled the largest theaters in America is sitting motionless. 78 years old. Alone. His name was Dean Martin. The king of cool. The voice behind Everybody Loves Somebody. Frank Sinatra's brother in Everything But Blood. The crooner who at his peak made more money than any television performer in America. And on the morning of Christmas Day, 1995, he was dead. The official cause was acute respiratory failure. The truth was something else. Because for the past 8 years, Dean Martin had been quietly dying. Not from illness, at least not at first. He had been dying from something doctors couldn't treat. Something that began on a cold afternoon in March 1987 on the side of a mountain. Something that tore him so slowly that even the people closest to him didn't realize he was already gone. This is the story of Dean Martin's final 21 days. The dinners he stopped finishing. The phone calls from Frank Sinatra he refused to take. The lung cancer he chose not to fight. And the question his daughters could never bring themselves to ask out loud. Did the king of cool die on Christmas, or did he wait for it? Welcome back to the Panel Light. Tonight we go back to the final days of one of the most beloved entertainers in American history, and to the day 8 years earlier when the man behind the smile decided he was finished. To understand how Dean Martin ended up alone in a Beverly Hills home, you have to understand how loud his life had been before it. He was born Dino Paul Crocetti in Steubenville, Ohio, on June 7, 1917. The son of an Italian barber. He left school in the 10th grade. He bootlegged liquor for the local mob. He boxed under the name Kid Crochet. He dealt blackjack at illegal casinos. By 23, he was singing in Cleveland nightclubs. And in 1946 in Atlantic City, he met a young comedian named Jerry Lewis. Within a year, Martin and Lewis were the most successful comedy duo in America. Within 5, they were on television, on radio, and magazines in every American household. They were inseparable, and in private, increasingly miserable. In 1956, they broke up on stage at the Copacabana in New York, live in front of an audience. Dean walked off. He didn't speak to Jerry Lewis again for the next 20 years. What followed should have ended his career. Comedy partners who break up rarely recover. But Dean Martin recovered in a way nobody predicted. In 1958, he played opposite Marlon Brando in The Young Lions. That same year, Vincente Minnelli put him in Some Came Running with Shirley MacLaine and Frank Sinatra. The movie was a hit, and the friendship with Sinatra changed everything. By 1960, Dean Martin was part of the Rat Pack. Sinatra, Dean Sammy Davis, Jr., Peter Lawford, Joey Bishop. They headlined the Sands in Las Vegas. They filmed Ocean's 11 during the day and performed at night. They redefined what Vegas was, and at the center of it all, Dean, drink in hand, half smile, untouchable. Then came The Dean Martin Show, NBC 1965, a weekly variety hour that ran for 9 years. At its peak, 40 million viewers. Dean would walk onto the stage with a glass of what looked like scotch, though most of the time his friends later admitted it was apple juice. He would sing 2 songs. He would flirt with the guest. He would take a fake fall down the staircase, and 40 million people would laugh. He was making at his peak the equivalent of $50 million a year in today's money. He had a casino in Vegas with his name on it. He had 3 Rolls Royces, 3 wives by his 50s, 7 children. He had the kind of fame that meant when he walked into a restaurant, people stood up. The image was perfect. The drink, the casual delivery, the way he never seemed to be trying, the way he never seemed to need anything. But the image was carefully built. The drink was usually apple juice. The casual delivery hit a man who memorized scripts down to the comma. And the never seeming to need anything that was the most carefully built part of all. Because there was one thing Dean Martin needed more than air. And in March of 1987, he was going to lose it. His name was Dean Paul Martin Jr., Dean's third son with his second wife, Jean Beeger. He had been a child model, a tennis prodigy, a member of the pop trio Dino, Desi, and Billy in the 1960s. By the 1980s, he was a serious actor and a captain in the California Air National Guard, flying F-4 Phantom fighter jets. His father called him Dino. On March 21, 1987, Dean Paul Martin Jr. took off from March Air Force Base in Riverside, California, on a routine training flight. Visibility was bad. Snow was moving over the San Bernardino Mountains. Somewhere over San Gorgonio Peak, 12,000 feet up, his F-4 disappeared from radar. The search took 5 days. The wreckage was found on March 26th. Dean Paul was 35 years old. Dean Martin was on tour with Frank Sinatra and Sammy Davis Jr. when the news came. It was called the Together Again Tour. It had been Sinatra's idea to get the surviving Rat Pack back on the road one more time for old time's sake. Dean had agreed reluctantly. He didn't want to be on tour. He didn't want to be away from home. He was 69 years old and tired in a way he couldn't explain. When the call about Dean Paul came, Dean Martin sat in a hotel room for several hours and said nothing. Then he flew home. Then he came back, finished a few more shows and quit. He never explained it to Sinatra directly. He just stopped showing up. Sinatra was furious. The tour finished without him. That was the public story. The private story was darker. People close to Dean Martin later said that after Dean Paul's death, he simply stopped singing in the car, which he had always done, stopped joking with the staff at his favorite restaurants, stopped calling his grandchildren on their birthdays. He didn't become angry. He didn't become depressed in any obvious clinical way. He became something stranger. He became flat, drained of the thing that had made him Dean Martin. He was said to have told a friend off the record that he had 2 sons. Now he had 1 and a half, the half being the memory. For the next 18 months, Dean Martin tried to perform a small Vegas comeback, one final NBC special in 1988. But the man on stage was not the man America remembered. His timing was off. His eyes were unfocused. His voice, the voice that had sold 100 million records, sounded like a memory of itself. His longtime agent Mort Viner finally said, "Dean, you don't have to do this anymore." In 1989, Dean Martin gave his last public performance. He was 72 years old. He had been a working entertainer for 43 years. He went home that night and never sang professionally again. What happened next was the part of Dean Martin's life that almost no one knows. Because for the last 6 years of his existence, he didn't really have a public life at all. He kept a house on Mountain Drive in Beverly Hills. He kept the staff small, a housekeeper, a driver, a part-time cook. He kept his daily ritual brutal in its consistency. He would wake up around noon, read the paper, watch westerns on television, mostly John Wayne films. He had loved John Wayne. He'd made Rio Bravo with him in 1959. Wayne had been dead since 1979, but the films were always playing somewhere in Dean's house. In the evening, he would put on a suit. A suit. Every night, he would have his driver take him to Da Vinci's, an Italian restaurant on Santa Monica Boulevard. He would sit at the same corner table. He would order the same meal, usually veal piccata, sometimes pasta. He would have 1 glass of red wine. He would eat alone. Customers who recognized him would sometimes stop to say hello. He was always polite. He would smile, sign an autograph if asked, and return to his food. He stayed about an hour. Then he went home. He did this almost every night for 6 years. Frank Sinatra called. Sinatra called constantly. He left messages, he sent flowers, he showed up at the house. Sometimes Dean would let him in. They would sit in the living room for an hour, drink coffee, talk about nothing. Then Sinatra would leave, and Dean would tell his housekeeper, "Don't put the next call through." Sinatra, who had spent his entire adult life trying to control everything around him, could not control this. His best friend was disappearing in front of him, and there was nothing he could do about it. In September of 1993, Dean Martin was diagnosed with lung cancer. He had smoked 4 packs of cigarettes a day for most of his adult life. The doctors offered surgery, they offered chemotherapy, they offered radiation. They told him he could buy himself 5 more years. Dean Martin refused all of it. He didn't fight the diagnosis. He didn't argue. He simply said no. By accounts from those close to the family, his doctor asked Dean, "Do you understand what this means?" And Dean said, "I understand." He went to Da Vinci's that night and had dinner. His daughter Gina would say years later that her father wasn't suicidal in any active sense. He just didn't want any more time. There was nothing in any more time that he wanted. For the next 2 years, he continued the ritual. Suit, restaurant, veal, wine, home. The cancer in his lungs grew. He lost weight. His skin grew thin. His voice, when he spoke, which was less and less, grew hoarse. In the last 3 weeks of his life, the housekeeper noticed something. Dean stopped finishing his meals. He came home from Da Vinci's on December 4th, 1995, and didn't go back. He sent the cook home. He asked the housekeeper to make him toast. He ate half of it. For the next 21 days, he barely ate at all. His doctor came to the house. His daughter Deanna came. His daughter Gina came. Sinatra called. Jerry Lewis, the partner Dean hadn't spoken to in 20 years, called twice. Dean took none of the calls. He sat in his chair by the window. He watched John Wayne movies. On the evening of December 24th, the Christmas Eve, the housekeeper asked Dean if he wanted anything. He said no. She asked if he wanted to call any of his children. He said no. She asked if she should put on music. He said no. He sat in his chair until late. Then he went to bed. The housekeeper turned out the lights. On the morning of December 25th, she went to check on him. She found him quietly, peacefully gone. He was 78 years old. He had not given a public concert in 6 years. He had not spoken in a public interview in 3. He had not been photographed in nearly 2. When Frank Sinatra was told that morning of December 25th, he reportedly went into his study, closed the door, and didn't come out for several hours. The next time anyone saw him, his eyes were red. He didn't speak about Dean for several weeks. When he did finally, what he said, by accounts of those around him, was a single thought, told in different words to different people. That Dean had never recovered from Dino, that he had been waiting since 1987, that he had finally gone to where his son had gone first. The funeral was held a few days later in West Hollywood. It was small. Sinatra was there. Jerry Lewis was there. 20 years of silence broken by a death neither man could have predicted would happen this way. The casket was closed. The mass was brief. Sinatra placed a single rose on the casket and walked out without speaking. That night, the lights on the Las Vegas Strip dimmed for 1 minute in his honor. The Sands, where the Rat Pack had headlined, had already been demolished, but on the rooftops of the new casinos, in the windows of the old ones, on the marquees up and down the boulevard, the lights went dark for 60 seconds. Tourists stopped on the sidewalks and looked up. Nobody told them what it meant. Dean Martin had sold over 100 million records. He had made 51 feature films. He had hosted a television show that, at its peak, was watched by 1 out of every 5 Americans. He had been one of the most beloved entertainers in the history of the country. And he had spent the last 8 years of his life sitting in a chair, watching old John Wayne movies, waiting. Because the day his son's plane went down on San Gorgonio Mountain, the king of cool had decided something. He just took 8 years to finish doing it. This was the panel light. See you Thursday.